Namaste and a very warm good morning yet once again from the Dekho Apna Desh webinar series. And we are so happy to bring you different dimensions of our incredible India, Atulya Bharat as we call it. And Atulya Bharat is not just about built heritage, it's not about monuments, it's not only about scriptures, it's not only about the mighty Himalayas, it is not only about the meandering rivers, the Ganga and the Yamuna and the Narmada, but it is about people. And one of the most important things, if we look back even to the Stone Ages, was food. The survival of humanity depended, and for that matter, all living matter, whether it is plants or whether it's animal kingdom, all need nourishment, all need food. And man, of course, has been so inventive and so creative on how to use the nature's bounties to nourish himself and his progeny. And that's why I guess we are where we are. And therefore, today we are bringing to you the dimension from this ancient land of India, which has weaved into itself so many myriad spices, styles of cooking, the mediums, and just so much else. And that is, I think, one of our wealth. It's a huge, huge wealth. Indian food is popular everywhere in the world, and we love it. And within India, it is so fascinating for us that when we sit in North India, the aromas that come from the house of somebody in the east or the south is so very different from our own homes, and how we all lap up each other's recipes, and how it itself has become a huge source of travel and tourism delight in India. We're going to tell you who all is going to tell us about this. We have really, really accomplished people with us today to talk to us, and not just talk to us, but actually demonstrate the recipes, because you can go home and do them for breakfast or lunch or dinner or just for nothing. So, but before that, let's show you a movie to whet your appetite just that little bit. Team NEGD, could we run the movie, please? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for running us that lovely movie. And I was looking at the comments that were coming on the side. People are already hungry. Indeed, isn't it so very mouth-watering, all that we saw? But showcasing to us all that today with us is a lady entrepreneur. And at this juncture, I must also mention that in India, where we not just have women as power, but I think women have been seen in so many different avatars, even in goddesses. And so we have Ma Durga, but then we also have the Annapurna Devi ji. And that's the beauty of the Indian, I think, way of life. We don't just eat food, we celebrate food. And I think that's part of our journey of Incredible India, and bringing us the stories on that is a phenomenal woman in the world of tourism and hospitality, but that's just one of the hats that she wears. Mrs. Radha Bhatia, all of 70 years plus. She is a dynamo, is how I would describe her. She's a mother, a grandmother, a sister, and so many other things. And when in her role as an entrepreneur, she is mentoring so many people. And it's always a pleasure to take ideas from her. And yesterday she was mentioning to me that no age is late to start anything. And it seems at the age of 55, she was suddenly reminded that her grandfather, or I don't know whether it was her father's sitar, that caught her fancy, and she reminded herself that she hadn't learned it. She started learning it and has become quite a proficient sitar player. So inspiring that amidst all that she does, she has found time to remind herself that there are so many other things yet to do. So welcome, Radhaji. It's a pleasure and a privilege to have you on our Dekho Apna Desh webinar series. And she also, of course, has been hand-holding and seeing the growth of Rosette House. Rosette is so beautiful, a company that is working in the world of hospitality and tourism. They are also doing a lot of work with us in making sure that the audio experiences at the tourism sites becomes more and more refined for all the travelers that visit these sites. And with those words, I'm going to welcome her first. And then we have three chefs who are going to show us different recipes, but I'll tell you about them a bit later. First, I'm passing on the web stage to Radha Bhatia ji. Welcome, Radha ji.
Namaskar, Mrs. Rupinder Barar ji. First of all, my compliments to you to just suddenly connect during the COVID and keep promoting tourism, not only in India, but now everybody in the world can see this program. Thanks to Modi ji, our beloved Prime Minister, to give that direction to say, देखो अपना देश. सबसे पहले अपना देश तो देखो. दूसरे देशों के बारे में तो हम बहुत जानकारी जानते हैं, पर हमारे देश में जो असली सिविलाइजेशन, ट्रेडिशंस और जितनी चीजें हम जान सकते हैं वो तो जाने. हमारी सिविलाइजेशन स्टोन एज के बाद से शुरू हो जाती है. चाहे लिखना पढ़ना किसी को आए ना आए, but there were so many things which are passed on from generation to generation by word of mouth. India has been always a popular destination for people from different parts of the world, and they came to India for different reasons. Some came to find the knowledge, like from China, Hyung Seng and Fa Hai came in search of religious scripts. We are the country where all the big saints, they took a human form and they are born. The Greeks came and invaded India in 300 BC. There were other invaders after them, Afghans and Mughals. You know why? because 30% of the global GDP was from India. And that is why India was called Sone ki Chidiya, the golden bird. Ultimately, what happened? We lost our identity. It is not only the history of India, but there are so many things which the world is looking for. Like, for example, the spices. We were the first to start with the plastic surgery. And a person new from Portugal and came all the way to India just to learn the art of plastic surgery. Not only that, the spices which we grow, they are really as health benefits. Ayurveda, where the whole world looks for, comes from where? India. But now everybody is using, the whole world is using. And that is also thanks to our Prime Minister to declare 21st of June as the Yoga Day. The spices were so much attracted by the Europeans that the British also tried their fortune after the Mughals, and the British came to see how they could trade from India. They found it so fascinating that they stayed here, established East India Company, and then started colonizing India. Because each state of India has its own USP. It grows a different vegetation. The food habits change from north to south. It's really a mysterious country, I would say. Thanks to our great leaders that we could get our own independence. But that is not very long. We got independence in 1947. So there is a long way for India to recoup all the lost wealth which we have. And I suppose it is the coming generation which has to look into it and make the best use rather than going into the Western culture and the Western world. I think today our culture is one of the best, and everybody wants to follow that globally. You all know the value of turmeric. Unfortunately, the turmeric has not been trademarked in India yet because it is totally an Indian product which is used in Ayurveda. It has so many cures. Even the basmati rice, the US tried to trademark that brand. It's really unbelievable what we have. We should trademark this, and I would also request the Ministry of Tourism to also put in some new curriculum with the new educational policy so that our next generation learns everything in school rather than Earlier the stories went from grandmother to the grandchildren as a dadi, nani stories. But now with the nuclear family and the way of life, it's difficult to interact with the older generation. So we cannot do it with the word of mouth, but it has to be done in the schools. Also starting from right up north of India, Garhwal, from where the Ganga comes. India is one culture where nature is worshipped. Nature like trees, water, rivers, plantation, everything is a boon of God's. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's where we are going first, right, today?
yeah,
People are, I'm just reading a lot of comments on the site. People are saying, can we see some food? I'm like, hang on, we are bringing you some food.
okay. From there, I think Adi Guru Shankaracharya ji went and discovered Badrinath and Kedarnath. He also created a mutt, which is Joshi Mutt. Coming down with the Ganges is the Rishikesh, the holy worship place where so many people have been blessed. In 1968, Beatles came in search of solace and peace. And they went to Maharshi Mahesh Yogi's ashram. They found it so thrilling that they created their own small house, which is called the Beatles Ashram. I think that should be a tourist spot. And they were so bewildered with that and so much enthusiastic that they created 48 songs, which are world famous. The CEO of Apple, the CEO of Facebook, they all came and lived at this area. So now I would like also to tell you that Uttarakhand people are very simple, still untouched with the Western culture. Their food habits, they are very healthy, simple and nice. Here I would like to introduce that we have a small resort where people go for solace, people go for Ganga Aarti, and people go for yoga and retreats. And I would like Chef Chetan to give a little demonstration on the simple food, which is healthy and very tasty.
Fantastic.
Can we have?
Yes, Chetan, can we have the video playing LCD? So viewers, Chetan, in fact, has come back to Uttarakhand, and it's from UAE, that's where he was located, but love for India. And I must also remind everyone that what he adds to the special flavor in his food is all the affection that he had picked while watching his own mother cook. And I think that that's so beautiful. And he especially mentioned it in his small write-up, and therefore I thought it appropriate to mention, I think, on how in our kitchens, when our mothers make food, they're just not making breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but it's their affection. And that's why maa ke haath ka bana hua khana is a privilege that we all, I think, are spoiled in India with. So yes, Chetan, can we have your recipe?
Namaskar everyone, it's an honor to be part of this webinar organized by Ministry of Tourism. Today I am going to showcase Hill's favorite and Uttarakhand's authentic cuisine, which is kaddu ke pattu ki sabji, pumpkin leaves. The health benefits of pumpkin leaves are good source of protein, iron, magnesium, potassium, calcium, and it helps in boosting immunity. The vessel I am going to use for cooking, iron vessel, usually known as lohe ki kadai across the India. The health benefits of it, cooking in lohe ki kadai, it releases iron into food, consumes less oil, and it helps in providing even temperature for cooking. So let's start preparation. Start chopping pumpkin leaves. Now I am going to saute pumpkin leaves. For this I have to take 1.5 tablespoon of mustard oil, 1 tablespoon of garlic. I have to saute garlic till golden brown. Once garlic is golden brown, I will use chopped pumpkin leaves in. Just I am using here Himalayan pink salt, and later we will adjust the seasoning. You have to saute till the pumpkin leaves get melted. Just add little bit of water in it and let it cook. Once all the leaves get melted, I am going to use stone mortar, which is usually known as silbatta, for making paste of it. This is a traditional method of making paste, usually used across the Uttarakhand for making paste. We are using silbatta. Now my pumpkin leaves paste is ready. Now I am going to start for tempering. We have to take 1.5 spoon of mustard oil, 2 whole red chilies, 1 teaspoon of coriander seed, and 1 teaspoon of jakia, which is wild mustard. We have to just cook it till crackling voice. For thickening, I am going to use wheat flour. You can use refined flour, you can use corn flour, you can use rice flour, but I am going to use here wheat flour. 2 spoons of wheat flour. Saute wheat flour till you get nice smell and wheat flour gets nicely roasted. Now I am going to use 1 teaspoon of coriander powder and 1 teaspoon of cumin powder. Let's saute it till you get nice aroma. Once this gets mixed up, I'll use water. Just bit of water to get nicely cooked. After adding water, I will mix it. You can see as our masalas nicely cooked along with the wheat flour. Now I am going to use, once masala is ready, now I will add pumpkin leaf paste on it. And you have to mix together along with the masala. I am using pink salt for seasoning, which is Himalayan pink salt. So we'll saute it for just 20 to 30 seconds. And as you know, our leaves are already cooked. So my pumpkin leaf bhaji, which is kaddu ke pattu ki sabji, is almost ready. Meanwhile, our vegetable getting ready, I am going to make silbatte ki chutney, which is give you nice taste along with the kaddu ke pattu ki sabji. Now I am going to grind green chili, coriander, mint, cumin, ginger and Himalayan pink salt for making silbatte ki chutney. So let's grind it. Meanwhile, I prepared silbatte ki chutney. Bhaji is ready. Now I am going to use bell metal to serve this because it helps in digestion. Now I am going to showcase Uttarakhandi Sattvic Thali. In this we have kaddu ke pattu ki sabji, pahadi rajma, gadwali kadi, bhatki chudkani, jakhya rice and jhangoru ki kheer. Along with we have finger millet bread, which is ragi ke fulke. In Uttarakhand it is known as madwa, and we have pahadi khira along with silbatte ki chutney.
Wow, that looked so tempting, viewers, didn't it? And because we are going to run out of time if we start eating right now, so let's just keep making the food. Radhaji, should we move on to the next recipe so that we are left with some questions towards the later part?
And just take 1 minute
Sure.
to just give everybody the information that it was Chandni Chowk where you get the best food today also was built by Shah Jahan for his beloved daughter. Chandni Chowk, the name comes because in between the two sides, there was a stream of water and the Chand was reflected in the Chandani. And this was the hub for all people to come and do trading. Now on to that, I'm sure everybody's waiting for the chart. So you can start playing the video.
Is this the one on Daulat or is this the one now on Ram Laddu?
Ram Laddu.
Ram Laddu, right? Right.
Ram Laddu.
Namaskar, I am Chef Anand Panwar from Rosette Hotel and Resorts. Anyone who is visiting India, especially Delhi, must see the historical places including Red Fort and the bazaar opposite to it called Chandni Chowk Bazaar. Chandni Chowk Bazaar, which was famous for ornament, clothing, is nowadays very famous for the street food. When it comes to the street food, there are lots of street in Chandni Chowk Bazaar which are named after the food as well, like Paranthe Wali Gali, Barfi Wali Gali, Chaat Wali Gali and lot more. When it comes to the chaat, the first thing that comes in our mind are the golgappas. Golgappas are the water bowl which are filled with different varieties of the water and served, which are very famous in our country India. Second thing is like dahi balla, palak patta chaat, jalebi ki chaat, dolat ki chaat and chola bhatura and lots of other varieties which are very popular. Today also here we gonna demonstrate one of the oldest and famous chaat of India, which is called Ram Laddu. So let's start with the process of making Ram Laddu. For that we require soaked moong dal and chana dal, ginger chop and green chili, and then we grind it for a smooth paste. So once your dal is grinded, then you have to add this cumin seed and a pinch of salt, and then you have to whip it for almost 2 minutes to make it bit lighter. So let's fry the Ram Laddus. You can see the technique how we make it round. You have to make your oil ready prior to this frying. The oil should not be too warm or too hot. It should be on a medium heat. So let's fry it till it achieves nice golden brown in color. and little bit of crispy. So now we will take them out on a plate with the paper on it, so that whatever excess oil that it has can be absorbed by the tissue paper. So let's start for the final step of presentation of the Ram Laddu. So we will take a mitti ka sakora, and then we will take 3 to 4 pieces of the Ram Laddu as per the size of this sakora. First we will put mint chutney on top of it. After mint chutney we will add salt, then masala. This is homemade chaat masala. Then you require chopped mint, onion, and radish or mooli, and then pomegranate seed on top of it. So your Ram Laddu is ready to serve.
Wow. And with winters round the corner, I think the radish seems to be the right ingredient to work with. I think that's something which is packed with nutrients and vitamins. I must thank Anand, but I also must let the viewers know that Anand has been an important part of the journey of Mrs. Bhatia's, I should say, epical book on the Lassis of India. And I'm going to tell you more about the Lassis of India. But what is very fascinating in that book is how the journey started for her and for so many of us who just take lassi or buttermilk as just another thing in life. But then she so beautifully reminds us in the foreword that she's written there that it is part of the Panch Amrit, and how Panch Amrit is so essential to our lifestyle, our thanking the Lord for where we are, and also reminding ourselves that human journey is a journey towards betterment of the soul. You know, there is so much about Indian thought and Indian philosophy that gets weaved into something as mundane as lassi. And we're going to talk about that later. But before I keep talking, I think we're going to go for the next chef, Mrs. Bhatia. What is the next thing that we are moving to?
The next thing which is coming up is a big riddle. It's Daulat ki chaat. But let everybody judge and say what it is. I'm sure you'll get lost.
So now we will demonstrate our last dish of the day, which is Daulat ki chaat. As the name is misleading you, it's not a chaat, it's a very nice dessert which is very popular in Chandni Chowk street. This dessert was an invention of Mr. Khemchand from Muradabad, who brought this dessert 100 years back to the Chandni Chowk streets. So let's start the simplest process of Daulat ki chaat. So for the process of Daulat ki chaat, you require an ice bath, and then your milk that we pour in the bowl. So now we will add the cream, and we have to whip it for a nice and thicker foam. So we have to whip it for 10 to 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes you can see your foams are ready. As you can see, the foams are nice, ready and dense. So now we will take them out in another bowl, and we will keep that bowl in the fridge for 15 to 20 minutes to let it set. So again, for the second color, we will put the saffron water in this milk, and then we have to again whip it for 15 to 20 minutes to get nice and thick foam. So now we will take these yellow foam also on that white foam, so that it gives a nice dual layer. It looks appealing as well while presentation. So after 15 to 20 minutes, Our foams are set. Let's start the final step of the presentation. As you can see, within 15 to 20 minutes it sets nice in the deep and it's giving a nice dual color. So the first thing goes on top is mawa, then sugar, pistachio flakes, dried rose petals, and last your silver leaf. So your nice mouth watering and mesmerizing Daulat ki chaat is ready to serve.
So that is so rich looking, and look at the kind of ingredients that have gone into it, but it's actually not so hard to make. And I think that's one of the beauties of Indian food. It can get very, very complex, and it may require you to marinate your meats sometimes for almost a day. And you can cook on slow fire, but at the same time, you can do them in a jiffy. So, Mrs. Bhatia, where are we going next before we talk to the chefs and to you about the journey of food and how and why food is so integral to anyone's journey? When we go for a holiday, do you remember any holiday that you enjoyed without good food? So food is so integral to our journeys of life. But before we again keep talking, Mrs. Bhatia, where are we going next?
I think next is Awadh, जहाँ के आदाब, तहजीब और खाना मशहूर है. आपने वो कहानी सुनी होगी कि ट्रेन निकल जाए पर पहले आप नहीं रुकता.
So true, so true. Lucknow, known for its tehzeeb and also for its
Persians, Mughals, Afghanis, that is called Awadh area.
Mm-hmm.
And the food over there is also the spices which they use. There is a very small story, if you want, I can just narrate.
Please go ahead.
And which is very apt at this time. Food for work there was a big drought, and the king said that if you work, you get food. So there were so many workers for whom food had to be given. So the cooks really got fed up, and what they did, they made a pot, sealed it up from all sides, put some rice, meat, vegetables, and just sealed it and put it under slow fire. But on top, they used to put some kevda essence and some rose water. With that smell, the king came to know, oh, what a mind-blowing. And that became a part of the Nizams. So that is how the dampuk comes in place. So on to Chef Anuj.
And it became so much of experience of fine dining.
I know.
Wonderful. So
But slow cooking.
Yeah, please go ahead.
And it keeps all the aroma inside the pot.
Yes, isn't that
the
so
spices?
Absolutely. So now we're going to go to Awadh with Chef Anuj Vadhavan. Again, he is one of those chefs who's traveled the world. He's been in UK, he's worked with Olive Group in India, and now he's with Rusiet. And again, in his case, I think it's the learnings from all other cuisines also that makes him what he is. So welcome, Anuj.
Thank you for inviting me for this beautiful webinar which has been organized by Ministry of Tourism. As we all know, the tourism plays an important part in a revenue of its country and also enhances its culture and cuisine worldwide. Over here we will be talking about the most loved cuisine of India, which is Awadhi cuisine, which consists of kebab, curry and dum cooking process of food. In dum cooking process, we will be showcasing our most loved dish, which is called Murg Zameen Dost. Murg Zameen Dost means something which is cooked under the soil. In this process, we take a marinated chicken, we wrap under Rumali roti. Put it in a vessel, and the vessel is being covered. It's an earthenware vessel which has been covered with a dough or a multani mitti. The whole reason for this sealing the ends of a vessel is whenever it's been cooked slowly, all the moistures and flavor remain inside the vessel, and that's how the cooking is being done, and it's been worldwide famous for its biryani. मुर्ग ज़मीन दोस्त को बनाने के लिए आपको चाहिए बोनलेस चिकन के पीसेस 4 नंबर, थोड़ा सा इसमें जिंजर गार्लिक पेस्ट जाएगा, लेमन जूस जाएगा, थोड़ा सा सॉल्ट जाएगा। इसको मैरिनेट करके रखेंगे हम 1 घंटे के लिए। 1 घंटे के बाद हम मुर्ग ज़मीन दोस्त की जो मैरिनेशन है हम उसको तैयार करेंगे। जैसा कि हमारा चिकन 1 घंटे के लिए मैरिनेट हो गया, अब इसको ज़मीन दोस्त की मैरिनेशन के लिए हमें जो चाहिए वो चाहिए हंकट। थोड़ा सा इसमें हम हंकट डालेंगे, थोड़ा सा आलमंड का पेस्ट, सैफरन का पानी, अगर इसमें सैफरन का थ्रेड भी आता है तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, थोड़ा सा मेस का पाउडर, थोड़ा सा आप कार्डमम पाउडर, थोड़ा सा आपका येलो चिली पाउडर जाएगा इसके अंदर, और लास्ट के इसके अंदर जाएगा क्रीम। इस पूरे को मैरिनेट करके हमें 4 घंटे के लिए रखना है। उसके बाद हम इसको रुमाली रोटी के साथ एक रैप करके मिक्सचर बनाएंगे इसका। जैसा कि हमारा जो चिकन है वो 4 घंटे के लिए मैरिनेट हो गया है, अब इसको हम रुमाली रोटी में रैप करेंगे। इसको आप लाइन से सीधा लगा सकते हैं ऐसे, ताकि ये इवनली स्प्रेड आउट हो। इसको हम दोनों साइड से ऐसे फोल्ड करके फिर हम इसको रैप कर देंगे। जैसा कि हमारी रुमाली रोटी रैप हो चुकी है, तो हम इसे एक अर्दनवेयर वेसल में डालेंगे, जिसके लिए हम दम कुकिंग प्रोसेस का जो आपको पहले बताया था वो है। इसके नीचे हमने एक मैदा का लेयरिंग लगाई है। उसका एक सिंपल रीज़न है कि जब हम इसके अंदर रुमाली रोटी रखेंगे तो वो चिपकेगी नहीं। इसके अंदर हम हल्का सा घी लगाएंगे इवनली स्प्रेड आउट करके, ताकि जो रुमाली रोटी है वो मैदे में चिपके ना। इसके बाद हम इसमें रुमाली रोटी बीच में लगा के इसका ये वेसल बंद कर देंगे। दम कुकिंग प्रोसेस के लिए इसका चारों तरफ से सील करना ज़रूरी है, जिसके लिए हम मुल्तानी मिट्टी यूज़ करेंगे और इसको चारों तरफ से हम सील करेंगे। जैसा कि पहले ज़माने में मुर्ग ज़मीन दोस्त को जब बनाते थे तो वो मिट्टी खोद के ज़मीन के अंदर डाल के बनाते थे, क्योंकि पहले ज़माने में तंदूर नहीं होता था। लेकिन अब वो लग्जरी जो है वो रेस्टोरेंट में नहीं है, तो यहाँ पे हम इसको तंदूर के बीचों बीच डाल के स्लो हीट पे बनाएंगे, जो दम कुकिंग का एक प्रॉपर तरीका है। जैसा कि चिकन को बनते हुए ऑलमोस्ट आधा घंटा हो गया तंदूर के बीच में जब हमने इसे डाला था, इसे निकालते हैं। आइए देखते हैं इसका दम का जो चिकन बन चुका है हमारा। अब इसको निकाल के हम एक चॉपिंग बोर्ड पे डालेंगे। अब हम इसको काटेंगे। काटने के बाद आप चाहें तो इसे घर में हरी चटनी के साथ सर्व कर सकते हैं। रेस्टोरेंट में हम लोग इसे चिकन करी के साथ सर्व करते हैं। आप इसे चाहें तो एक अच्छे मेन कोर्स जैसे सर्व कर सकते हैं, नहीं तो एक रोल, एक एपेटाइज़र जैसे भी सर्व कर सकते हैं। ये अब खाने के लिए तैयार है बिल्कुल।
The recipe, fantastic. And so now we know why it's called Murg Zameen, right? It's literally, it used to be cooked in the heart of Mother Earth. And so fascinating how mind has evolved, not just the usage of spices, but also styles of cooking, as we mentioned earlier. And one of the chefs mentioned about the sheer potential of food for tourism and hospitality. And viewers, I must mention to you that when bringing a program like this to you, it is not simply about showcasing the different foods from India, but it's also to tell all of you and to sensitize all of you that food creates so many jobs as part of the overall job creation of tourism. And in India, currently, we are able to get almost 13%, so 12.75 to be exact percentage of the jobs that get generated in India, both in the direct and the indirect manner, are from the world of tourism and hospitality. So see the amount of economic wealth that the sector is creating for all of us. And I'm sure when we talk to the chefs, they'll tell us that how they went to culinary schools to begin with and how it has translated into wonderful careers for them, where they've actually traveled the world, and today they have the satisfaction of making all of us feel so happy when we dig into these dishes. And it is such a wonderful profession to be in, and an integral part of any hospitality that can be thought of. And at this juncture, I'm going to ask Mrs. Bhatia, because she herself started a journey. She tells me in a side conversation that she was one of those laid back persons, and she could not perhaps herself have imagined, or people around her would have imagined, on how she became an entrepreneur in the world of hospitality, and today a name to reckon with. It'll be inspiring, Mrs. Bhatia, to hear your views before we move on to the chefs and talk to them a little about the not only just the job creation, but also the sense of satisfaction of carrying forward one's own country's heritage and culture through the medium of food. Mrs. Bhatia?
Thank you, madam. I was a very, what should I say, protected child by my parents. And that is why I think I was laid back, because I knew there is something to take care of. But from a protected to a protector, after I got married, my life changed. And then, thanks to my husband and his family, who gave me the opportunity to show my talents. I mean, it was a long journey, but I think that gave me a lot of insight. And I think every day is a learning day for every individual. I am one person who is so influenced by the Indian culture, traditions, religion, and I want all Indians to follow that. Not only that, now today the whole world is following it. So why should we not patronize? And thanks to the Ministry of Tourism to take this step forward.
Yeah, wonderful words, Mrs. Bhatia. But, so many questions coming, so we'll keep moving back to you, because I have some more definite questions for you. If the chefs can take some questions. Chetan, the viewers are wondering on the value of using iron kadhai, and can you just go and pick this iron kadhai from anywhere? And how does it really work? How does it really go? And कुछ भी बना सकते हैं या कि सिर्फ सूखी सब्जियां बनाएं इसमें? Could you enlighten us on that?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful platform. Yes, ma'am. Throughout the India, we can get this lohe ki kadhai, but always, benefited when we take thick bottom kadhai. So it will, provide even temperature to the food. And yes, all dry vegetables or any kind of gravy we can cook it, but just try to avoid citrus in it to making but you can make curry, of course, in this as well. Like if you see, like in the Uttarakhand, most of the villages, we still use only lohe ki kadhai for cooking. And this is a traditional method, traditional vessel what we use.
Okay. And the tomato use kar sakte hain, even though they are on the khata?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like if you, yes, ma'am. It is like myth. Most of the people, they say not to cook citrus in it. But since I'm like childhood, I'm watching my mother, she is cooking, especially Gadwali kadhi on lohi ki kadhai. So,
okay.
Yes, we can cook it, ma'am.
दूसरी बात ये बताइए शेफ, there are people asking because you were in the Devabhoomi, literally, you know, cooking foods in Uttarakhand.
Thank you, ma'am.
That
Thank you.
the usage of spices, जब हम आयुर्वेदिक फूड की बात करें या वैदिक स्टाइल्स की बात करें तो खड़े मसालों का इस्तेमाल ज्यादा होता था. धीरे धीरे ये पिसने लग गए एंड नाउ वी आर नॉट सो श्योर कि पिस के उसके अंदर कई दफे होता क्या है. सो व्हाट इज मोर यू नो ट्रेजर्ड, शुड वी बी यूजिंग होल स्पाइसेस मोर ऑफन, or how would you really recommend in terms of their nutritional value?
Yes, ma'am. If we look like authentic cuisine in Uttarakhand, so we don't use much of the spices as such like powder and all. So khade masale, of course, because we are blessed with the nature. So we have most of the wild spices with us, like cinnamon, like we have jakhia. We have so many other vegetables as well in Uttarakhand. So for pounding, we always use stone mortar, like traditionally, like we don't have mixies at typically if you go to any of the remote areas. So of course, khade masale is always benefit because it saves time. And if you don't want to bite it, you can take it and you can keep aside. But always it gives, very useful flavor to the food.
Fantastic.
And the best part,
Yeah,
and the
go ahead.
best part of Uttarakhand is like climate and its natural soil, which helps to get good food for taste, of course.
Fantastic. One question which I'm going to ask all three of you, and so I'll first ask you, is that how has it been the journey of being a chef, and would you recommend that as a career to so many young aspirants who want to enter the world of the fascinating world, I would say, of culinary journey of tourism?
Yes, ma'am. I always inspired by my mother because I always seen her cooking because she is working in a medical like field, and she has to go for the work every day. Like she wakes, always wake up early in the morning, 6 o'clock. She starts breakfast. Then of course, I always see her like cooking for us. So she always inspires me, and I must say like mother's food is always best in the world. Nobody can beat it. So for my cooking, I always take her advice and recipes from her. And the same way my mother cooks for me, and the same way I want to cook for my guests as well, so that they can get the best, mother's recipe and the food tastes really, really good. And the best part, I always believe in that, we should not, overpower with the spices and all. We must taste the, particular main ingredients, what we are cooking. Like as I cook kaddu ke pattu ki sabji, I use only two spices, what cumin powder and coriander powder. That's it. So we always taste, that particular kaddu ke pattu ki sabji good. If you put lot of spices in this, we'll not find the, good taste of kaddu ke pattu ki. So always prefer to taste good when you eat the particular ingredients on that.
Fantastic. So I must mention here that one of the viewers, Nidhi Bajaj, is saying that आपने उनको उनकी grandmother की याद करवा दी जो कि iron की कढ़ाई में काले चने की सब्जी बनाती थी. I'm sure a lot of us are going to go buying the iron कढ़ाई today and start cooking. So much nostalgia. And when you mention about mother's cooking, indeed, I think one thing about India, and I will move on that to our next chef, Anuj. Anuj, I can see you wearing your chef hat, is that कहते हैं कि कोस कोस पर बदले पानी, चार कोस पर वाणी. This is an input I've got from one of the viewers. It's such a sweet phrase. I had to say that in India, I think it's the mother's cooking, which is so well incorporated by our chefs, that brings this whole diversity into our food. So not are we just diverse in our languages and flora and fauna, dance forms, languages, etc., but literally every household will do their food a bit differently. As a chef, Anuj, how do you keep the variety going in your food?
Thank you, Ms. Barar, and thank you, Mrs. Bhatia, for this beautiful platform. Ma'am, as you were asking about the inspiring, and Chetan said very well, I guess most of our chefs have been inspired by our mother, who's been cooking at home, because that's where we grew up. We got a platform to taste the food and to be explored with more of the masalas. And as you talked about the profession, this profession is a very passionate profession, and anyone who will be coming into this profession need to carry a passion for this profession, to be very honest, because it's not a basic 9 to 6 job where you just need to come log in and 6 o'clock you log out. So it has a very extensive platform, because right now the cuisine has gone very wide. We need to be with the time, with the cuisine to fulfill people's demand. And we should also be sure that we should not forget our roots, which is the Indian cuisine. And that's what it will be.
Thank you. Wonderful. Radhaji, I'm going to ask you this question because this is a beautiful question. Somebody's asked me that is it possible to become a professional and a celebrity chef after the age of 60? From somebody who never got daunted with age, I think you must answer that.
Well, it's simple. If you have the will, you get the ways.
So I'm sure the viewer who asked that question, you got your answer. For Anand, Rishabh has asked that how does one become a celebrity chef and what is a lifestyle after becoming a chef? Anand, would you like to take that question?
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Barar and Mrs. Bhatia, for this great platform for all of us. And thanks a lot for the Ministry of Tourism as well. जैसा कि इन्होंने पूछा है कि सेलिब्रिटी होने के बाद एक लाइफस्टाइल में क्या चेंज आएगा, इट्स द सेम जैसा कि एक मदर के पास होता है कि जैसे जैसे घर में मेंबर बढ़ते जाते हैं वैसे वैसे उनके ऊपर खाना बनाने का, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज का, हर चीज का एक टाइम फ्रेम उनका चेंज हो जाता है. एंड from that responsibility she gets busy. So same is with the life as well of a celebrity chef. The more you are a celebrity, the more you have the guest, the more you have to be on the floor, more you have to be in the kitchen, you have to cook for everyone. जैसा कि माँ किसी को मना, जैसा माँ किसी भी गेस्ट को या किसी भी अपने बच्चे को मना नहीं कर पाती है, वैसा ही हम शेफ लोग हैं. We never say no for anyone, any guest, whatever time it comes. तो ना हम घड़ी देखते हैं सुबह के 9 बजे हैं या रात के 11 बजे हैं या 12 बजे हैं. So we cook for everyone at every point of time. So life is like that. It's always busy as a celebrity chef as well.
Yes, and I think Anand, that fits so beautifully into the India. We say Atithi Dev Bhav.
Atithi Devo
And
Bhava.
I mentioned that earlier also that in India, in our homes also, we find mothers, sisters. Of course, it's changed. But I do find a lot of men getting into cooking, especially in times of lockdown. And that's, I think, a wonderful thing that has happened in COVID. We find men trying different recipes, is that you never are let to go hungry. Even if jaldi say a dal and a chawal is jiffed up, something will be done to take care of the need for food at any point of time. And so Atithi philosophy viewers, the guest is like a god for us. Mrs. Bhatia, there's a question specifically for you. Someone has asked that how is the future of food and cuisine segment in India, and considering that there are hotels and food joints everywhere, what should people be doing to make sure that they run a successful enterprise?
Well, innovation, something new, something old, mixed together. And you should always say that this is a new dish and this is a new menu.
Fantastic. Anand, but did you have something more to say? I'm sorry if I interrupted.
No, ma'am, it's like only the one question that someone asked about the Daulat ki chaat, why it is named like that.
Yes, I was going to ask that.
Yeah. So, Daulat ki chaat ke liye, there are 2 points. Pehla to the shelf life of this Daulat ki chaat is very less. इसीलिए इस दौलत की चाट को साल में सिर्फ 4 महीने ही सर्व किया जाता है, only in winters, from November to Feb, and that's it, because of its shelf life and the process of this. Secondly, the first person who started selling this दौलत की चाट in Chandni Chowk, उसका नाम ही दौलत था, इसलिए उसने अपना नाम दौलत की चाट रख दिया. So for this chaat, so these two are the things. That's why it's called Daulat ki chaat. First, because of the shelf life is so ephemeral, and second, the person who sell it was Mr. Daulat.
Okay, so Vishwa Ranjan ji ये कह रहे हैं that will be in the Jagannath Puri Golden Temple. In fact, that is such a beautiful reminder to us that in our places of pilgrimage and religion, food is God's gift. So all of us, stand in queues. We'll make sure that we eat there. And do not forget to actually bring back Lord's blessings in form of food. Food is the Lord's blessing. That we are alive today is the Lord's blessing. We are healthy enough to eat is the Lord's blessing. So most cultures, when you start eating food, we always first remember the Lord. Do that the next time. Thank the Lord for all the blessings that He brings to us, and keep traveling, keep seeing. We will take a couple of more questions. We are over 12, but we overstretch. But I will remember to remind the viewers that next Saturday, we are going to take you to a very interesting part of India, and we're going to take you to a place that actually does a swamvar. It marries goats. So there is a Bakri swamvar that happens there. Doesn't that make you sound interested about what's happening in a very, very green, I wouldn't call it rural. I think it's living with nature. That's the webinar we are going to bring you next Saturday at 11 a.m. So don't go away but right now, because I have a couple of more questions for Mrs. Bhatia, because she's written this beautiful book, The Lassis of India. I'm of course fortunate enough to have a copy with me. You should all make sure that you pick your copies too, because there are fascinating recipes in that. What inspired you, Mrs. Bhatia, to write a whole book on something that is so much an everyday part of our life?
Could you repeat the question, because the sound was not there?
I'm wondering that what is it that inspired you to write a whole book on lassis of India, something that most Indian households, whether they are in the north, south, east, or the west, have milk in one form or the other?
Oh, that's a story 5 years back. I was sitting on a dining table on a Sunday with my grandchildren, and I said, let's make mango lassi. So they made a funny face and said, we don't drink lassis. So what do you drink? We drink smoothies. So I said, okay, make lassi smoothie, but make it with a yogurt. It's more tasty, because yogurt has probiotic nature, and it gives a good immunity to the body. And then I thought, even our language is missing. So I thought, okay, just to keep the younger generation appraised with the Indian traditions, so I started searching for a lot of things, did a lot of research from north to south, how the lassi changes the name and changes the shape. The more in north, the less water is used. The moment you go down south, they create more water, which turns into more. In Punjab, we call lassi. I think many people drink lassi in the afternoon. Morning, they have adarika, and at night, they have chach. So these are the 3 different varieties even in Punjab.
Right.
Rajasthan gives a lot of malai on top. And same is the UP. Banaras ki lassi बहुत मशहूर है. But you go down, they make more, which is more of the water element, but they give a chalk to that more with rai and kari patta. And not only that, this book also has a message to the grandparents, because I learned cooking and the interest from my grandparents.
Yeah, so it's passing.
So the grandparents, the parents must, whatever you cook with your hand, whether it's tasty or not, but you really relish it.
Yes, so true, so true.
Because it has the emotions also in the cooking.
So true, so true. And I
think also thanks to COVID,
Yes.
That I think
People are cooking
parents and
more.
grandparents are getting time
And
to
I think
teach
a
the
lot of
cooking to the
times,
younger children.
right. And a lot of times the temple food, the same dal and the same roti and same prasad just tastes so different because of the incantations of the mantras and the puja that happens. I think that's why we food is not just food. It is so much else. But I'm going to ask you, Radhaji, what is your one favorite food? I'm going to ask the chefs also. So keep yourself ready with that one favorite soul food. What is your soul food, Radhaji?
My soul food,
Yes.
gobi ki roti and tandoori paratha.
Okay, wonderful. Anand, what is your soul food?
Ma'am, I like golgappas a lot.
Okay. And Chetan?
Ma'am, I always love kandali ka saag, which is nettle leaves ka saag with
Oh,
madwe ki roti. That is my all-time favorite.
all right. And Anuj?
Mine is I prefer my mother's when she cook the basic chana ka dal at home with
Fantastic.
the jeera rice.
Fantastic. So, viewers, I'm sure you've got a lot of ideas on how to make the recipes the way the chefs made it. But that's what food is all about. You can always do those little variations. If you don't have a particular ingredient, replace it, do it differently, be creative, just keep cooking. As Radhaji said, it's not about that perfect recipe, it's about just cooking it, experiencing it, growing with the food, and appreciating the fact that Mother Nature has blessed us with so much. And we should not just take from her, but also give back. And that's the whole message around being sustainable. And I think that's one of the learnings of COVID, respecting nature around us and learning to coexist and creating value while not disturbing the balance that Mother Earth needs us to keep with her as she keeps blessing us and giving us so many bounties as we go forward. But also mentioning, therefore, you mentioned about the Dadi Nani ki stories, and I must share with you a small thing when we were doing the Dekho Apna Desh webinar series, and then the word came, Dekho Apna Desh Dad, and we said, no, this is Dadi, Dekho Apna Desh India. And we are looking for NANI. If viewers, you have any ideas on how Dadi we found, how can you help us find Nani, NAN, India? So help us to make that acronym into something interesting around tourism. It would be fascinating to get your ideas. In the meantime, all the webinars go as a repository on the Ministry of Tourism's website. Please revisit them when you're traveling to these places. Very soon, travel is going to be easy again. And share with your friends and family. The chefs have brought to you some beautiful recipes today. Radhaji has reminded us the need to pass on the legacy of cooking in our homes to our children and to our grandchildren. So let's keep doing that. Let's keep traveling the beautiful, incredible India. And okay, somebody asked me what's my soul food. I'm a Punjabi, right? Punjabi at heart. So the Rajma Chawal is my soul food. But then there are so many. I think I love idlis. I can eat idlis every single day. Pav bhaji is a delight. And biryani, again, a delight. I think it's impossible in India to find that one soul food is how I would look at it. So
And
thank
I guess
you.
for Punjabis, parantha and lassi is like blood, the most soul food.
Absolutely. That's why I was surprised that all of you actually had one soul food. I am struggling to figure out what is my soul food. And if you go to Bengal, then getting the egg rolls, well, how can you live without them? So, I think India is so beautiful, and we encourage all our viewers, start packing your bags because the lockdowns have been eased out. Very soon you shall be able to travel. Just keep wearing your mask, keep the social distancing, keep safe, and keep cooking the beautiful recipes at home. Next Saturday, we are going to take you to Bakri Swamvar. Don't miss that, 11 a.m. So thank you so much.
Rupinder, before we close,
See?
I would also like to give my compliments to Chef Anuj for helping me for the lassi, the smoothies
Okay.
of India,
Great.
because we have 24 different lassis from different areas, but there are 54 smoothies which are done with the vegetables, herbs, fruits.
Super.
And we kept trying more than 250 or 300 different varieties, but came shortlisted 54. So the book has about 100 recipes, 74 recipes.
I have tried some, viewers, they are delightful. So go ahead and try some of them and be innovative. You can go beyond those 100, you know. I mean, it's all about innovation. It's about your own little preferences, something that you'd like a little more. Go ahead and add a little more of that. So thank you once again, Chef Anand, Anuj, Chetan, and of course, most of all, Radhaji for bringing this together for us. And we'll see you all next Saturday, 11 a.m. In the meantime, keep safe, keep healthy, and namaste from Incredible India.
Thank you.